Hello and welcome back to Temple Boy Turn-ins. I am Steve. In this video it's kind of a collaboration. It started off as a challenge in a private group that I'm with a few other friends and turners, the Banana Gang, Hi Banana Gang, and it kind of was a challenge. I was challenged by Adam, who is also in the group. His channel is Adam I Love Wood Turning. I'll put a link below. That's where this project is going to be sent off to. It's for his son Wilbur. He's big into rockets. So Adam challenged me to make a 3-section rocket. I think that's what it's known as. I'll be corrected in the comments, probably by Adam if it's wrong. And so I said, yeah, why not? And while I was turning it, I had an idea of turning it into something rather than just a rocket. I wanted it to be a toy for Wilbur to play with. So I've turned it into a stacking toy and also a dispenser. So it can dispense, he's big into marbles, so he can fill it with marbles and it can be a marble dispenser, or he can fill it with sweets or M&Ms or whatever, and it dispenses sweets if he wants. But it's the whole thing is a nice build toy, and then he can play with it with all the different sections and stuff like that. So I hope you enjoy the video. Adam will do a follow-up video to this where he's finishing it off and giving it to Wilbur. But until then, I hope you enjoy this video. I'll see you again next time. Bye bye. Okay, so let's get this show on the road. Just bringing it up to speed. This is just a square stock blank of a bit of Sported Beach. Got plenty of that lying around, so I thought I'd grab some of this, because all 3 sections have got to kind of match up on this project. So I just brought it to round, and now I'm just shaping the top cone, starting from the top and working our way down to the bottom. Bit of fancy close-up for you. A wee pull cut just to try and clean up the surface a bit. Actually, why not? A bit of a push cut. Remove the tailstock now. Put it in the chuck and just bring in the very tip of the rocket down to a nice smooth point. Just like that. Alright, so in this part I am forming a tenon so that the top pointed part of the rocket will fit into the next section, and then I'm just parting this piece off. I have sanded all these pieces down to 240. I'm not putting any finish on it, so just sanding to 240 as I move along each section. Now I'm marking out obviously the size of the tenon that I've just turned into the next section, so that the top will fit into the next section. This is the mid section of the rocket. A bit of hollowing using my spindle gouge. Kind of decided to try and stick with the traditional tools doing hollowing and stuff. I just want to kind of improve my skills, and just kind of getting into the very bottom and the final cleanup with the Simon Hope hollower. That's the long bar hollower. I have the shorter version as well. And now this is the mortise that will receive the tenon that I turned on the top part. There we go. Nice snug fit.
And now it's just a matter of kind of turning that section down to match the top. And now the thin parting tool, just to put a little notch for little fingers to be able to pull the lid off. And then putting a mortise on the bottom of the midsection, so it can go into this section, which is the lower part of the rocket. Just using the rough and gouge just to round it off. Give you a few different angles of some close-up tool work. Very artistic altogether. Now I'm forming a mortise just on the bottom of the third section. I want quite a long mortise on it, you'll see why in a little while. And again, just shaping this piece. It'll kind of go to a teardrop shape eventually, but just getting it sized just a little bit bigger than the last section I worked on, just so I've got room to adjust it then when I put it all together. Some more artistic shots. Throwing some shavings into your face. Alright, we're down to round now. Just spin the headstock round. And we're going to work on making the mortise to receive the tenon. As you can see, just sizing it from the second part so that it will fit into this third part. Using the skew there just to tidy up the edges and just get a nice snug fit for the two to marry up and join together. This section needs to spin eventually, but I've put it on tight just for now so that I can get it all to match up the same size. Put it all together and measure it just to make sure that the proportions are right. Again, just shave down the outside, and like I said, we're making like a big teardrop shape, rocket shape. A little bit of backwards action there for you. Like I said, I'm going to form quite a long tenon on the bottom of this piece. Just like that. Put it back into the chuck now so we haven't got any of the waste wood causing vibration. And start hollowing this piece out. So what I'm doing here now is I'm drilling the hole in the bottom before I hollow too much of it out. Just drilled the hole in the bottom and then drill a hole down the center so that they match up, and this will be the chamber where the sweets or marbles or anything you choose to put into it dispenses out of. Using the hollow again just to clean up the outside and then create the mortise again to take the tenon from section 2. Now what you don't see on camera is I sanded everything so that the section 2 spins nicely in section 3, which you'll see why in a little while. Now this is forming a cap or a lid so that I can glue it onto section 3 and close it in. Put a bit of pressure on, left that for a while I went for a cup of tea, and now I'll come back, spin it back around, and it's got a little bit of a wobble there, but I'm not too worried about it. Part the excess wood off, and then I'm going to just clean this cap off. And basically that's formed a hollow form out of the lower section. clean off this top part now. Now, just to stop it from going too thin and have a little bit of support in it, I left a thicker part in the very centre. You'll see there, it's like a bump, and that's just to add a little bit of strength. And not only that, when I drill the holes through, just tapping just to check, it is quite thin, but like I said, that extra little bit of meat in the centre raises it a little bit, and it will form a bit of a ramp for whatever the child decides to put in it, to roll down and go into the holes that I'm going to drill in just a second. There you go. And like I said, I've sanded that now just so that it spins nicely. This is forming the holes. I've got the two sections together at the moment. I drill through the first section until the tip of the drill just marks the second section, and then drill through that, and those holes line up nicely, as you'll see just here now. So as you spin it round, those holes will line up, and that forms the chamber for the ball bearings or sweets, whatever, to fall down. Now, I made a jig for the top section to go in. It's like a glue block, as you can see, and I've pre-drilled a hole in the side. I'm just going to glue this in. I didn't really show making that jig. It's pretty straightforward. You just turn it so that the nose cone fits in nicely, and then drill a hole in the side, and that will support the drill bit when I go to drill the cone for where the little astronaut sits. It saves me having to kind of drill at an angle and trying to hold the piece. It just makes it all a lot easier. There we go. So now I haven't completely hollowed that cone yet. I wanted a little bit of support when this drill goes through, but you can see that that was a success, and now it will hold it for me to finish all the cleaning up on the inside and sanding and everything. And again, it's sanded to 240 inside and out. Bit tricky this, because you're hollowing some air space, but it's alright, all worked out well. And again, forming what will be a cap for the cone, or a base in this case, which the astronaut will sit on inside. There we go. That jig worked really well for me. Now creating the cap or base, whatever you want to call it, to close off the turret or the top cone part of the rocket. It's probably got a technical name, but I know nothing about rockets. And I'm just forming a little divot there for the astronaut, spaceman, to sit into. So when the child puts it into the top, it just sits into that little divot. But that will come back to kick me in the arse in a minute, as you'll see. So just a small spindle on here. I'm going to turn a little astronaut, very simple spindle turning, getting it to size that it fits into that little divot that I turned in the base earlier. And it's just a very quick and simple astronaut, just using my spindle gouge just to form a couple of beads really. I've left everything plain. I didn't put any face or anything on this. I'm going to leave it up to Adam and Wilbur to put whatever face and things they want to put onto it, and Adam can turn other spacemen to go in it. There you go. Just shows that it fits nicely, but then I go and mess it up, as you'll see now. Glue the two sections together, so gluing the base into the cone. super glue. That's the jig with the cone. I did put it on, I brought the tailstock up and all that. Didn't show any of that. Take it off, spin it around. And get ready to remove the excess wood there that I didn't need. But unfortunately, I removed too much. And I made a funnel. It's all good because it worked out better in the end. I got a nice piece of darker wood and capped it, glued it on and made a new base, and it actually made it look nicer. So when the child's playing with it and kind of jettisoning the rocket and playing with it, it just looks nicer, and it looks nice from the inside too, so you can see kind of contrast of dark wood and light wood. Just popping that out the jig now. Remove the glue, it's all sanded up, and there you go. Now this is the very base, the rockets, don't know what you call them, boosters, the fiery bit at the bottom. So this is why I left a long tenon on the third section, because this is going to be supporting the whole rocket, and it is designed to be a stack-in toy, so it can be built first before it's played with. And I wanted the third section to kind of sit into this nice and solid, because if you're going to be twisting and putting marbles or sweets or whatever into it, it needs to sit in a nice mortise. So I made a nice deep mortise and a long tenon for this to fit in. Removing the extra length of wood that I don't need. And then I form the boosters, or it looks like a, you know, the base of the rocket, the fiery bit. I know nothing about rockets. A little bit of undercut in here, getting right in with the gouge, and I'll get in even further then with the parting tool. Get right in, and there you go. Just forming like a bead with the parting tool, getting right in as far as I can, just to give it a bit of depth and make it look like the rocket. That's all sanded up, and there you go. That's the finished rocket. Well, as finished as far as I'm finishing it. That will now get sent off to Adam, and Adam is going to decide what he's going to do with it next, whether he's going to paint it or just maybe put some child-friendly finish on it. But I'm very happy with how it turned out. Rocket Man. And I just put some beads in there just to demonstrate how it works. Turns nicely and it poops out the beads. There you go.
See you leaving now, that don't mean a thing. You tried so very hard, but you can fly on broken wings. See you leaving now.